Hey, today I'm talking about the first 3 animated Resident Evil films. And the names of those 3 movies are Resident Evil Degeneration, Resident Evil Damnation, and Resident Evil Vendetta. First up is Resident Evil Degeneration. Also, I'm going to talk about Resident Evil Damnation. I'm going to do a twofer because what I have to say relates to both of them, which is I didn't particularly care for them. Now, they are in the continuity of the games, which I think is great. Claire showed up in Degeneration, which is always great. I love seeing Claire. The animation is fine. I have no real problems for that. It definitely improved in Damnation, and they did a decent job of kind of like explaining the world and universe with the opening montages, but then it got to be too much. They just did information overload. And then in Degeneration, it's more like there's just so many characters and we keep bouncing around from everyone, and I'm like, I don't really know what's going on. I don't really care about anyone because we're just flying back and forth between everything. And then in this one, it kind of swings the way opposite way of it's just about Leon, who, I'm gonna be honest, I don't particularly care for him. I know he's a fan favorite. He's super cool. He's a super cool guy. I mean, look at that hair. Who couldn't love that hair? But he's so over the top and ridiculous. I just didn't give a shit. So, yes, I'm sorry. I know people love this franchise a lot, but man, I did not care for these 2 films. I did rank Damnation above Degeneration, or whatever that means. So would I recommend these movies? If you're a really hardcore fan of the games, probably. I would imagine you would care a lot more. But if you're just a fan of the live action movies, or you haven't seen any Resident Evil movie or played any games, no, don't. It's gonna be really lost on you. And lastly is Resident Evil Vendetta. This is a 2018 film, and believe it or not, this is my second favorite Resident Evil film. It's legitimately good. It's so good. I'm really blown away by how good it is. It has a couple dumb things that I'll talk about later, but like, I can honestly forgive them because of all the really goodness that is this movie. First off, they did a great job of introducing us to our 3 main characters. We got Leon S. Kennedy. He's still ridiculous in this one, but I can look over that. We got Chris Redfield, who's just great, though he looks like he's trying to be one of the Gears of War's characters, which I find hilarious, but also endearing. And then Rebecca Chambers, who I really liked in this. I would almost call her like the pseudo lead of this film, and I really enjoyed that. She was really smart and interesting and just good vibes. I think the bad guy was doing really interesting things with the zombie virus. I think they played with that idea enough to make this feel really fresh and interesting. Like, yeah, it's still a zombie film, but the rules are different, and they're different in a logical and really interesting way. Also, the action in this film is top notch. Like, there's some really cool, basically gun porn scenes that are just like, man, I hate guns, but it's cool. That was really cool. And just, yeah, no, it really works. Like I said, there are a couple dumb things, with the 2 being 2 action set pieces. One is this motorcycle highway chase scene with some dogs. Here's a little clip of it. Yeah, no, it's just way too cool guy anime for my taste, but I could look past it because like it was short and all the other action was great. The other action scene that was just like, what the hell is this, was the rooftop fight scene at the end of the movie. Again, I'll show a clip. It's spoilers, but it doesn't really matter because it's so absurd you have to see it. Yeah. By this point in the movie, they had me, so I'm just like, okay, I can't put this in the really liked because that was just so dumb. But, you know, the rest of the movie was great, so it's still getting high marks for me, despite that travesty. So, even with my couple complaints, I would totally recommend this movie. Like, even if you've never watched any Resident Evil movie or played any Resident Evil game, anyone could really get into this. Yeah, no, it's really good. Definitely recommend it. I've already warned you about the 2 bad scenes, so you're all good. The rest of it's pretty damn solid, so you're in for a good time. Alrighty, now for today's rankings. First up, we got Resident Evil Degeneration sitting at 192 in the didn't like section. And then right above that is Resident Evil Damnation sitting at number 190, also in the didn't like category. And then most recently, we have Resident Evil Vendetta sitting at number 95 in the quite like section. So it's basically 4 to 5. And this is out of a total of 201 old movies so far this year.